What is up, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by the man with the picks. What's up, Pez? You got the Kelly Green on after the NFL draft.
Well, and Jeff, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, we're in a bit of a confrontation right now with the Fly Boys, but I see Jeff's wearing the Yins shirt,
Yes,
which
that's
is
right.
kind of like Yo in Philly. Pittsburgh's got Yins, we got Yo.
Correct.
Great town, Pittsburgh. Great town. I respect it. I respect everything about Pittsburgh. It's kind of the Western PA, little brother of Philly in a way, but a badass town. It's a badass town. I mean, you got tough people working there at that draft. My wife is a lovely lady, but she's not really into the draft. I put it on. She was like, "Well, what are all these people doing there?" I'm like, "These are Pittsburgh people primarily for the team."
Yeah.
She couldn't believe it. She goes, "Isn't there like a concert or something?" Like, no, these are picks. They came out with the Yinzer, and what turned out to be a little bit more of an interesting draft than I thought. I don't know. I don't know about your boys, though, Jeff. I don't know if the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, I hope the best for him. I hope he comes out zipping that ball around. But I don't know. I don't think much changed from the draft. What'd you take from the draft?
I honestly, there's a lot of people, I was going to ask you about this. There's a lot of people that feel like the Steelers dodged a bullet by the Eagles trading with the Cowboys to go up and get Mekhi Lemon because they feel like that dude might be George Pickens 2.0. We'll put it that way.
Well, and
he's a different guy, man. He's odd.
This is what I've read about this guy is he's a little strange.
Yeah.
He's a big, a self-motivator guy, but I think he's a player. He's not an ego guy. He's just a little bit into himself and a little bit weird. And we like weird in Philly. That guy's going to fit in great. I think what I love about and the Steelers do this as well. They're not teams that draft for the future. They're teams each year. We're drafting to win a Super Bowl. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles went after it. The Steelers did. I don't think the Rams did. And I'm already hearing rumbles about Stafford not being happy taking a quarterback that's, played 13, 14 games. So teams that draft to win a Super Bowl every year, this is what sports is about, right? That's why Aaron Rodgers is there. He's not there for 5 years. They're hoping to get a lightning year out of a bottle, in him, and I think that's possible. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, I couldn't be happier. Did we take a couple guys, the Nigerian kid that are going to be developmental projects? Great, but fifth, sixth, later rounds, you're not getting guys who are going to start automatically. I love the receiver. I watch Lemon a lot. You can't gamble on college football without watching USC. It's on a lot. It's on a FS1 or whatever late at night. If you're out, that's the only game on. They play every USC game. So I've watched this kid for a couple of years. He is a over the middle, give me the ball, and then he's a guy that's going to contact the defender. I love him. He reminds me of Hines Ward a little bit. A tough dude, not going to blow you away at the combine with speed or anything. That's why he didn't run it. He's probably a little bit slow, but a guy with the ball is tough to tackle. I love the lineman they picked up. I love everything about it, Jeff. I think, and the bookmakers agree a little bit. Philadelphia Eagles now plus 1,800 going into the draft, plus 2,000, plus 2,100 to win the Super Bowl. I think that bodes well for the direction we're going in.
It was an interesting thing. I was curious. Were you shocked that they traded with the Cowboys to get in front of Pittsburgh?
This is what shocks me, Jeff. Howie Roseman must have some sort of Svengali powers. We hate the cockroaches.
Yeah.
This guy got a division rival to help us. What he must be the most likable person. He's the only guy in the world I've ever seen get hit in the head with a can of beer at the parade when we won the Super Bowl and smiled about it. He wasn't even angry, Jeff. He said, it's not a big deal. He didn't get pissed off. He must be one of the most likable humans, the best general manager. I think, in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, by far, one of the best in the league. One of the best I've ever seen. Each year, we make deals. We get Minnesota to give us their best defender. I mean, what the hell were they thinking, Jeff? We have a all-pro linebacker for 2 third-round picks? He's got mind powers, Jeff. This guy's awesome. We're ready to go. I think the Birds are going to be better on both sides of the ball after this draft. A.J. Brown was a cancer. That guy didn't play hard last year. He had defenders draped all over him. I hear complaints all the time. Jalen doesn't throw over the middle. Jalen didn't have anybody open over the middle. AJ Brown coughed that, whatever happened. Maybe Jalen, took his lady. I don't know. We hear rumors, but at the end of the day, AJ being gone is good for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's 30 years old. His numbers dropped significantly last year. I don't think that's coming back. And if you look at the draft, you need to pick up skill positions and linemen, and that's what we do. And I love it, Jeff. I love it. I'll take it all day.
Well, and it just you mentioned the city of Pittsburgh that hosted the draft. Over 800,000 people attended the draft at least on one day. So now one person could count 3 times. Keep that in mind if they stayed for all 3 days. But 800,000 people is 800,000 people. And I was one of those people that wondered, if you've ever been to Pittsburgh, man, you can't go anywhere without going over a bridge. It was going to be chaotic. And I didn't hear too many complaints, to be honest with you. So interestingly enough, it seemed like they pulled it off.
Great crowd. I bet you there were 500,000 people there on the first 2 days. It had to be. I mean, that crowd's gigantic. I've been to Times Square on New Year's Eve a couple of times, so I'm, kind of fascinated when I see these huge crowds. And generally, bad things don't happen in huge crowds. The people that are there to have fun. They're not there to cause trouble. You're kind of outnumbered if you're a troublemaker. And Pittsburgh, I hate to say it though, Jeff, the hockey team, a lot of cheap shotters on this hockey team. This Sidney Crosby. What a piece of shit this Crosby is, Jeff.
Oh, really?
Cheap
so
shot
he's
guys.
not getting cheap shotted either. No.
He deserves it, Jeff. That guy takes somebody's legs out. I don't even know who it was 2 games ago. And then last night, a little cross check. He whines. What a great series. In a way, I hope we go to Game 7, Jeff. A Game 7 Stanley Cup playoff.
Oof.
I'm going to contend was more exciting than the Super Bowl. There's nothing better than NHL playoff hockey. In a way, I think it's even better than NFL. Probably, Jeff, because I'm not betting on it. I think to bet on any sport, people ask me, why don't you bet hockey more? I just don't have time. To bet hockey, you have to watch hockey, right? And, I watch the NFL. I watch every team. Basketball, every team. College, as much as I can basketball, but definitely college football. Baseball, that's on all day, so we're watching all day. Hockey, I just don't have time. And since the Philadelphia Flyers went to crap 15 years ago, my viewership went down. So now, basically, I watch the Flyers, so I don't feel qualified to bet on some of these other teams. I would, but hockey is also very unpredictable. That sport is crazy. Nobody picked the Flyers to be in the position we're in right now. The Martone guy, the Flyers didn't even know he was going to be this good. He's turned into a guy who looks like he's been in the playoffs his whole life. We've had 8 Flyers score their first playoff goal. That's got to be a record, right? And this is a sign of a team that was terrible. And whatever happened, we got magic clicking. And we're taping Tuesday, Jeff. I don't know if we're taking them Wednesday. They're a minus 120. That's a lot to lay. I think 5-on-5, we've been the better team. But the Penguins power play, it's like watching ballerinas out there. The Flyers don't even know what the hell to do, Jeff. I mean, it's an amazing. 2 of the best players of the last 25 years on those Penguins, and they're fantastic. So we'll see, Jeff. We'll see. I can't wait.
We'll see. Any NBA thoughts?
NBA, I was talking about with somebody. I don't remember an NBA season where we've had, we talk about parity a lot right now in all of sports and how the leagues try to create parity. There's absolutely zero parity in the NBA. There are teams in the playoffs that are terrible, Jeff. The Philadelphia 76ers are terrible. They're a terrible team. When we look at New York, Atlanta, a decent series. Detroit, how are they not beating Orlando? I don't know. That's a puzzle maker. But I think there's maybe 3, maybe 4 good teams right now in the NBA. And we've been feasting on these early round playoff games. Have we been laying on favorites a lot? Absolutely. I don't think the books, well, if it was the old days, Jeff, and a team was winning consistently, San Antonio wouldn't be laying 12. They'd be laying 18.5 because you're trying to get people not to bet. So with online gambling, NBA has allowed for people that follow the NBA to kind of get deals. I think we took the Spurs on Sunday night. I believe they were laying 5.5. A joke, Jeff. They end up winning by, was 22 points, I think. So I think right now they're encouraging you to gamble. They don't mind losing a game where a traditional bookie from the corner bar didn't want to lose any game. And if he thought San Antonio was going to win, instead of laying 5.5, you're laying 12.5. You go, hey, that's the line. The line's the line. you're getting a fairer NBA line than I think we've ever had. And I think there's an opportunity, especially in the early rounds, to feast off of this. Favorites are going to win for the most part. Detroit Orlando is a series I would stick. I think it's a bad matchup for Detroit. They have a good team, but there are some of these series that are automatics, and I'm not taking the Boston Celtics tonight, Jeff. Partly because I hate the Sixers. I think if you're a fan of a team in any sport, you're allowed to bet them. You just have to check yourself a little bit. Am I fanboying this, or is this a bet that makes sense? I think when you hate a team, you should never bet them, Jeff. And I've bet against the Sixers a couple times. I detest the process. I'm glad it's failing. You shouldn't get rewarded for losing, and I hate Embiid. But I feel like when you have a hate for a team or an organization at a time, that emotion's tough to overcome. And I don't feel like I'm making a rational decision because I'm really hoping they lose, Jeff. And that's coming from an Eagles guy, a Philly guy. I want Embiid gone. I want this team blown up. This organization for 10 years has done nothing but taken number one picks and wasted them. They've wasted our time. Philadelphia deserves better Sixers than what we've had, Jeff. So Boston Celtics tonight, laying 10.5, probably a good deal. I bet you they win by 20, but we're going to lay off it. Tonight, we're taking the New York Knicks, who I think are a little bit underrated right now. I think that's a team that's going to get better as the playoffs build. That's a team that's looking to get to the finals, and I don't know if they're going to get there, but I like them. We're taking them tonight, 6.5, hosting Atlanta. 2-2, 7-game series in the NBA and the NHL in the first round makes playoffs just a bear of a thing, and it's a different season. So we're loving it, Jeff. I think we're now 12-2 over the last 2 weeks, 8 out of our last 9, and I don't know, we couldn't be happier.
All right. Any baseball thoughts before we get to the Derby?
Again, we're dragging our feet with baseball. I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
I think Boston's a team, and I talked about it with some people over the weekend. Boston's a team that we can begin to look at as betting. I think a lot of teams are going to start hitting their stride. Pitch counts, inning counts are going to go down. I think Milwaukee's very underrated. That's not a 500 team at the end of the day. Seattle is the team we've been watching. I think better than their record, 14-16 right now. So early baseball is like fishing. You can't rush it. And to rush it is chasing money. I think there's bad deals out there every day. We look every day, Jeff. We analyze every one of these baseball games. There's nothing more fun than analyzing baseball games because it's nothing but numbers. But I don't think you're getting 100% of a team effort and potential at this point. You're not winning a World Series in April. I know they say this in every dugout, but you can lose it. You can blow your season by overpitching, coming out with a little bit too much energy in April. Philadelphia Phillies firing their coach. Boston Red Sox firing their coach, and the season's really just beginning. Once we get to May, I think things will start to even out. We'll start seeing pitchers go 8-9 innings. Big money we won on your boy Skeens, Jeff. What a guy! What a guy! Is there anybody in the world with a better life than Paul Skeens right now? He's literally dating the Baywatch current version of Pamela Anderson 35 years ago. And for any young listeners out there, Google that. I don't even know who was dating her, Jeff. Probably that guy from Motley Crue or whatever. But
Tommy Lee, I think, was his name.
Tommy Lee, drug-fueled craziness. Paul Skeens, a nice person, a wonderful girlfriend, almost pitches a perfect game. Which my wife, again, lovely lady, but she's not following numbers on sports, Jeff. She's like, "Is this rare?" I'm like, I think it's 24 times maybe ever.
Yeah.
And we got to watch that, and then that it's an exciting time to have a young pitcher. I like what they're doing with the Pirates, and that's a team I still think is a little bit underrated. We're looking at some of these other pitchers, and I think Pittsburgh is not going to let Skeens go. That's a playoff team this year, Jeff. Maybe that's a future we're going to start looking to put out there. I love it. I love them, Jeff.
I like it. Let's talk some Kentucky Derby. I didn't even realize that it was coming up this weekend, and yet it's hard to believe it's here already. May is right around the corner. What are your thoughts on the Derby?
Jeff, we're taking a Japanese horse we're putting out there just as a potential horse. And I think at some point, a great racing tradition in Japan. We've got a trainer and a coach, Dan and Bourbon. You can't not bet a Kentucky Derby horse with the name Bourbon in it. That's a guarantee. But I agree with you. I was a little bit shocked, too. It just seems like this has happened fast this year. It's been a cold kind of April. after a warm March. Everything's kind of seems a little confusing, but I'm pumped for this Derby. Hopefully the weather holds out. Our top five, we're going to run down our five favorite horses. We've got videos coming out. The $2 exacta box, Jeff, for anyone that's never bet never been to the track or bet on horses, you can go to your local track. Every track will be operating for the Kentucky Derby. They're going to be taking bets. Every track's a fun place to go. We had a track in Atlantic City, closed probably about 10 years ago. It was a point where they would only open for the Derby. Bands, there'd be outside stands. It's a fun thing to do. It's actually a family thing, Jeff. If you don't want your kids into gambling, or the horse track is a family thing on the Kentucky Derby, not the infield at Churchill Downs, but your local track, if you have one, go. If you're going to put a bet in, $2 exacta box, you're betting 3 horses. If 2 of those 3 come in 1-2 in any order, you win money. So $2 exacta box costs you $12. And you've got 3 horses in the game. It's very interesting. You don't have to bet $100. You don't have to go bet $1,000. We love the exacta box of Pez's Picks. That's the most, I think, the best value bet. And we're going to be putting a couple of those out this week. There's 20 horses, and you got to throw a couple in there, Jeff. I haven't been to one in about 20 years. Maybe next year. I got another idea. Firing up that CEO's jet, Jeff. That guy. I'll be talking to him. Augusta, then right down to that Churchill Downs. Kentucky Derby, one of the most fun days of my life. I've been to 3 of them, and I don't even, as a gambler, as a fan of America and people, you see the richest billionaires in the world to literally the poorest people in the world, all walking through the same track, Jeff, and they're betting on these horses. Great food, great people. Louisville, just a fun town. Kentucky, to me, is kind of the New Jersey of the South. It's kind of this in-between state. You got different culture down there. I love it, Jeff. I love it, and I'm not going to be there, but I wish I was. Well, we can't wait for the top 5. We're going to run down our 5 best horses.
All right. Now, you will have more information at Pez'sPicks.com leading up to the Derby, as well as on social media. So make sure you follow Pez on all your social media platforms at Pez's Picks and Pez'sPicks.com. It is a pay site, but you're getting quality picks there, so make sure you check that out. All right. Let's go to this gambling scandal. You wanted to talk about this. College football has been rocked with a player who said, I've got to go into, I guess you would say it's kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a gambling issue. He admits to being addicted to gambling. What are your thoughts on this, Pez?
Jeff, I wasn't up to date on some of this. And it appears that this is a guy that had played at Cincinnati and Indiana. And from what I can take from this story, he was making dollar bets. Okay. So to me, a dollar bet's meaningless, right? That dollar bet is like giving someone at the church carnival a $50, right? So and there's been legislation in the NCAA to allow athletes to make bets under $100. I think briefly that was legal in this fall. And I know in Division 2 and 3, I believe it is. And there may be some rules you can't. Maybe you can bet on your team. Maybe you can't bet against them. I'm guessing that's a rule. But I know there's an avenue for legal sports gambling for college athletes and college coaches and athletic staff. And I wonder, did this guy think he wasn't really breaking any rules? They tracked him placing thousands of bets, and he's going to rehab. And, I wonder, is this now – Mike Vrabel went to rehab for 12 hours, Jeff, and now I guess this ends the story. So I don't think Brendan Sorsby probably had a gambling problem. The kid got paid almost $900,000 last year. Dollar bets to a guy making $900,000, that's acceptable. Now, was he putting parlays? I'm sure he was. And yeah, I hope this changes everything. Johnny Manziel is the reason we have NIL money. That poor guy, what he was doing, he would have made $10 million a year for what he was doing and kind of probably hurt his life and his career in the NFL. But I hope this kid's kind of the same example, and it seems like Texas Tech is staying with him. So if Texas Tech is staying with this guy, I'm guessing they knew about him when they signed him from Cincinnati and probably did nothing wrong. And I hope that's the case. I hope we get a ruling. You can't give young athletes phones they can gamble on and they can profit from their likeness and tell them, well, you can't put a dollar bet on it on the Eagles on Sunday. That's just stupid, Jeff. They're over the age, and I hope this situation works out. And again, I don't think this has anything to do with fixing. In the NBA, we've got a couple of these cases coming to trial where these guys were, using injury information behind the scenes. I don't think this kid was doing that. And if he was, Jeff, in any career, maybe that's okay, right? Maybe if he knows a guy from North Carolina plays football and knows something, hey, that's part of the deal. I don't think that's wrong in the gambling world. They do it in the corporate world. So I hope Brendan Sorsby, who I never heard of, Jeff, maybe I should have. I hope it works out for him. I hope to see him on the field. I love a gambler, Jeff. I'll bet this guy game one, if he's playing game one, lock that up.
Well, I'm glad that he at least admitted he had a problem. I think gambling addiction is just getting started in our country. It's only going to get worse. And so at least him publicly admitting, I need help. Maybe it helps someone else. So we'll see. But
you're right, Jeff. Nobody should gamble with money they can't afford to gamble.
Exactly.
If you can't afford to go to Chipotle, make your own beans and rice at home. That's the smart thing to do. Even with the Army now, we had an arrest. A special ops guy made a bet that Maduro would not be the leader of Venezuela by a date, and he won $400,000. And the prediction market site turned him in, and they arrested him, Jeff. This guy's in court. It's a bunch of bullshit, Jeff. And I don't want to get political here, but the president's son is part owner of this company. If you're gonna open up prediction markets and you're gonna allow gambling, you're gonna expect some people are gonna have advantages, right? A soldier that is hearing that we're going to go after this guy, hey, good for him. It's no different than a guy working at Microsoft hearing that Microsoft is creating the new AI and they start buying more stock. It's no different. I don't think this kid should, this man, I think he's 38 years old, special ops dude, probably done incredible things for the country. I think you can't allow gambling to be legal and take bets on anything. That's what these prediction markets are doing. You're basically able to bet on anything. Well, good luck. That's why we always talk. We like the NFL. It's regulated. There's an injury report. There's fines for it. There's rules. There's no rules in life. You want to that's like saying, I'm going to take a bet. I'm going to flip a coin, heads or tails, for $1 million. If I win, tough break. I mean, there's no regulations in that. So I hope this guy gets pardoned or they throw this case out, Jeff. That's unfair to that dude. And, maybe these prediction markets are not a good thing for gambling, Jeff. I wouldn't recommend spending too much money on this.
Yeah, because there are entities out there that need the money, like Live Golf needs the money. Live Golf, who had the PIF, they used the Iran conflict to say, we are going to focus our funds elsewhere. We are pooling the money you are funded, that is Live Golf, throughout the rest of this year. But you're going to have to find funds after that. And it must be a little bit sooner than they thought, because a Live event that was supposed to happen in Louisiana has officially been canceled, which means there won't be a Live event all the way until like July. So they just had one in Mexico City. I don't know if there's one in May. Very strange. I'd love to get your take on what's going on with Live Golf.
In honor of my Mexico City brothers and sisters, adios amigos to LIV, Jeff. The Live is dead. The Saudis, I don't think it has anything to do with Iran. They hate Iran, Jeff. The Saudis, they hope
it's just an excuse. It's just an excuse to back out of the funding.
Billions of dollars they've lost on this, and it's not making any money. And credit to them. Regardless of what your feelings are on Saudi Arabia or their politics, whatever. But regardless of that, their business decision was a brave one. And maybe maybe if it worked out, would have been a cool thing. You'd have two different leagues, and we've seen this with the CBA, the NBA, and they made an effort. I like their ideas of trying new rules and stuff. I ended up loving the product as much, but at the end of the day, nobody's buying this thing. They don't have a TV contract. I mean, what are they with the WB maybe or something?
Nah, that's now with FS2. So they do have a Fox Sports deal, but it's not. Yeah. Fox Sports, no.
Not when you're paying these dudes $100 million a year, right? Yep. So I just saw a blip online that quietly the Live guys are scrambling to see what they're going to do next. I'm sure John Rahm's calling the PGA and trying to do, I guess, what Koepka did, and I guess what Patrick Reed's doing. And I don't feel bad for these guys though, Jeff, right? I don't feel bad for anybody on Live. These guys got paid, and a lot of them got paid more money than they ever had. Around Mound, Varner, a guy like that, but never was going to probably made 30, 40 million at least, right? And so good for him if that was his decision, but you're going to have to earn your way back out there. And it's super hard to get on that PGA Tour. I was explaining to my son about it. That is the hardest professional sport in the world at this point. You might be the 101st best golfer in the world, and you're not in the league. You're begging to get into tournaments, and they've done an amazing job this year covering Joel Damon's story. You know, a guy I love, Jeff, probably finished 120, 130th in the world. A guy that's, I believe he's won on the tour, hasn't he? Or maybe once.
Dude, Joel Damon?
Joel Damon? Did he ever win?
I think he's won. I think he's a winner
Maybe once.
on the tour. Yeah, maybe once. Yeah.
Anyway, a guy's been there 10 years plus, is renting cars to drive to play qualifiers to get into the league now. So, you know, and that's got, we watch, Jeff, you know golf more than me. He stinks compared to the top 100 guys, but he's one of the best people in the world at it, and he's struggling to make a living at it. That's why I think PGA did everything right. I think they're going in the right direction. I think they should have open tournaments for guys that, what they should do, have a tournament anybody in the world can sign up for, and the top 5 guys make a PGA card the rest of the year. That would be exciting, right? Let the live guys get in there. Let the Joel Damons, they maybe do that a couple times a year. Would be awesome. And I love the direction of the PGA, and I hope we get to see Shambo out there more. I think it's a guy that's peaking in his career, a guy that could push Scheffler. You know, I don't know. You know, Fitzpatrick, recently has, but I don't think he's got staying power. And I hope that does work out for them.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see golf have a tiered system where you have like a minor league system, almost like the Premier League, where you could have golfers be relegated, and then if you play well enough, you get promoted. And so your Scotties are never good. Scotty Scheffler is never going to go anywhere because he's number 1 golfer in the world. Matt Fitzpatrick is leading in FedEx Cup points. He's not going anywhere.
Unreal.
But for someone that's Joel Damon, who's been playing well when given the opportunity, he would have the opportunity to be bumped up. So you tell all those live guys outside of the Roms, the Hattons, and DeChambos, you guys got to go to the minor league system and work your way back up. And I think that would be super competitive. It would be very entertaining. It would be very entertaining. You have them play on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe 3 rounds. And then if they do well, they get bumped up to that's drama right there, Pez.
Be awesome.
I need to call Brian Rolop and tell him my idea.
Get on the horn with this guy. The Corn Ferry Tour, if you win, you should be able to play in the next week's PGA tournament. Automatically, right? And then that'd make that more interesting.
Sure.
You called it. You made a great bet. The Fitzpatrick Bros last week, you called it. That was, I think, one of your top 2 guys. You said, I'll take this team and this team.
I took them the outright winner.
I got great odds on them.
1,175.
People making money on you, Jeff. I mean,
I doubled down on them as a top 5 pick, plus 210.
Wow.
And even got Billy Horschel and Tom Hoagie top 20 plus 142. Had a great week.
That's a lot of Chipotle, brother. What a great story. I usually hate that tournament. Of course, I watched the ending. You know, the younger Fitzpatrick, the kid was choking. I mean, I felt like I was choking. I had trouble. Why? He was like a regular guy out there golfing, and the pressure. That weirdo, that big bro Fitzpatrick, that weirdo's turned into, that guy's got big cojones, Jeff. The shots he made down the stretch to get his brother a card. I don't know if everybody listening knows, if you win that tournament, you get 2 years on the tour.
That's a PGA Tour win, even though it's a team event.
Crap. His brother was never making. I think he won once in Europe. He wasn't getting there. I'm not saying he's not a great golfer, but like we talked about, top 100 is out of 7.5 billion people. So it's impossible. Awesome finish, Jeff. And I'm shocked. They've got alligators in the Dallas area. How's that possible, Jeff? I thought the alligators are in Florida.
They were in Louisiana. The Zurich was in Louisiana.
I thought that was in Texas.
No, TPC, Louisiana.
Well, that makes a little more sense.
I don't think there's many gators in Dallas.
There's no. My wife said, "Where is this tournament?" I was like, "I think Texas," and I saw a gator. I was like, "Oh wow!" To be honest with you, I watched nothing but the final stretch on Sunday. I don't like the format, Jeff. I don't like it. I think the format's stupid, right?
Well,
I like Koepka and Lowry. I like that they flunked out. Those guys clearly don't like each other, right? That was a sham by Shrixon to sell a golf ball.
Mic them up. I would have loved to have been a part of those conversations between those two.
They might even talk, Jeff. That was such a sham. That's like a promotional sponsored sham tournament. Sure. And some of these young guys get to play for their card. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, when the winning score is minus 31, like it tells you all you need to know. But it's called, the official name, the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. So yeah,
Okay,
it's
I stand corrected, Jeff. Stand
TPC,
corrected.
Louisiana. Tell your wife you're not crazy. There's no Gators in Texas. They're just in New Orleans.
All right, I won't lie to you, Jeff. I was out at the bar and I was watching. We were at the
That's
dinner,
fine.
so I heard nothing about this.
It was an exciting finish, nonetheless. It really was. There were 3 teams
It
tied at
was.
-30. The wonderful bunker shot by Matt Fitzpatrick sets him up to like a foot to tap it in. Brothers in all the signature events, the PGA Championship, punched his ticket to the Masters next year.
Unbelievable.
Oh, and by the way, also is going to be in the Players Championship next year. Right?
I watched the last 6 holes, Jeff, and it was as good an ending to a tournament I've seen all year. You know,
Yeah.
and like the -30, 31, you'd think it would be boring, but Fitzpatrick's the real deal. And I know that guy's analytical. I believe he writes down every shot he hits, practice and tournament, every day. I think I learned that in full swing. I think he's like the Rain Man of golf and the committed dude. I got extra pop in the bat a couple years ago. I was more glued into it. I don't even know where I was, Jeff. I don't know who I was out with, but if I was, I enjoyed their company too, Jeff.
There you go. All right, what's your top 5 this week? I know you got some Derby talk.
Great one. Kentucky Derby week, Jeff. Top 5 horses that will win the Kentucky Derby. These are horse numbers. Horse number 4, Litmus Test, a Bob Baffert horse, a guy who is the best in the business ever, Bob Baffert. 30-1. That's the odds that are going to go down closer when you get to the race time. Litmus Test, love him all day to win. Horse number 7, Dannon Bourbon. You have to bet any Kentucky Derby horse that's named Bourbon in any part of the name. A Japanese horse, a great trainer, 20-1 odds. I think that's a discount right now. I think those odds are going to get better too. Horse number 11, Incredibolt. Riley Mott, unbelievable trainer, 20-1. That's a horse that could run out there and run away with it right now. A horse that, this is scary, Jeff. I like this horse a lot. And the 6-string punter from JMU 25 years ago, the best golfer guy I know, Jeff, he called this horse out immediately today. Chief Wallaby, 8-1 odds. Bill Mott, a famous trainer down there in Louisville. And my favorite jockey left, Jeff, Junior Alvarado, a stud. This guy, he's like, like the Randy Moss, but a real short version of it, of Kentucky Derbies. I love Alvarado. Chief Wallaby, 8-1, probably your best bet. Number 14, Potente, another Baffert horse, a great jock, Juan Hernandez, 20-1. We're going to stay away from the rail this year, Jeff. We're going to stay away from the outside. I think it's going to be a middle of the horse pack, and I can't wait. We'll have exactas, and we'll pick a horse we think is going to win. It'll probably be from that. It'll definitely be from those 5 horses, Jeff. But one thing about Kentucky Derby gambling, there's always horses that drop out. Pay attention this week. If you make a bet, it's not, that horse could get scratched at any time. That happens commonly in the Kentucky Derby. So stay on top of this. Maybe wait to bet till Saturday morning and just have fun with it, Jeff. Don't put the house on. It's horse betting. They cheat down there, and that's fun.
All right, Pez, it's been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Derby. We'll be talking next week. Take it easy.
See ya.